I'm going to start now. So, today's topic, of course, we're on the second series or the second episode in the series of building your spiritual war chest. And today we're going to be talking about the root and the crown. And what that means. Last week, we focused on a lot of reconciling the relationship with God, the source. And this week, and also how to pray better. Yeah, pray better, have more authentic prayers. Because I know in Christianity and I feel like in all religions, really, performative prayers can become a thing. And so just how to get really personal and real in your prayers. This week, we're going to go deeper, and once we reconcile the relationship with the source, i.e., where we come from, now we're going to go into deeper of like who we are. And we're going to start at the root and talk about the root and also talk about the crown. And I want to also bring in how these concepts are the same cross cultures. So like root chakra and all that stuff is like really big in India. Um and Egungun ancestors that live in the root, that's Yoruba information. So we'll be merging the two, like metaphysicals information, Yoruba information, as well as a bit of India things. But I won't be going too deep on India. I will mainly be going deep on like the metaphysics around everything, which people kind of group with the India culture, the chakra information in general, and then Yoruba information. And that is because a lot of what you'll see in a lot of African cultures when it comes to ancestors are kind of similar. For instance, the root chakra is the color red, right? And in Nigeria, the Yoruba tradition of Isheshe, the color for ancestors is also red. And I have the singing bowl out because I'm going to end this session with really like grounding us into that information, just grounding us into anchoring us into this lesson that we're going to be going on over. And then we're going to go to Ori once we talk about ancestors. In Ori, crown chakra, Ori in Yoruba literally means head, but also in the spiritual tradition, it means your destiny. So your highest, best self, who you were in your agreements and everything that you made with the Most High, with Source before you got here. Your root is your guide, your gatekeeper, helping you stay on course of your crown so that you can continue to receive. And your Ori is your direct access to your source, your highest self. So now, with that being said, in metaphysics, in chakra systems, your traumas and everything live in the bottom three. So your root chakra, your sacral chakra, and your solar plexus. All traumas and pains live there. In the heart, there can be no suffering. So we may have a closed heart where we have too much pain, too much like anger or resentment that we can't really feel our heart, but there won't be any suffering there. We may have restricted our heart because of what's happening down here, but there's not suffering there. If we open up and we allow it to be, there won't be any suffering there. Anything that happens in our throat is directly related to things that's happening in our solar plexus. So that's what that's connected to. Anything that's happening in our third eye is directly connected to our sacral chakra. Anything that's happening with our crown, if we're fully disconnected, is related to our roots. Yeah. And so what lives in our root, right? I said our ancestors, but also childhood stuff lives there. Uh, Childhood stuff lives there. Relationships with parents live there. Like all of those traumas of those like foundational years, it all lives in the root. So if that's affecting you in any way, if you're still not over there, you got pains from that, trauma from that, you're going to have or feel a disconnect in your crown, in your ovary, your higher self, your destiny. likely have made decisions that are not in your best interest of aligning with your path. And I don't want to say, and when I say the word like aligning with your path and aligning with your destiny, I don't want to make it seem like the destiny is a destination. I'm writing it out. um, okay. That's a good way to start, like writing it out. I know I started there. But yeah, your destiny is not a destination, right? There's like many different ways we may go. And the destiny is not like necessarily, oh, I'm meant to be a painter, so let me paint. Like your destiny is something way more significant to that. Like, and this is another thing, like your Ori too is also connected to who you are and what you're supposed to do and give and provide to the community. So, how you're connected to the community. And if you have pains and suffering in your root, it's going to automatically affect the way you connect with others and even have the desire to build community. Because one of the biggest things about traumas is we have the desire to want to self isolate. I know I've had that, completely cut people off. It's because of that root is completely, there's pain there, right? And so it's blocking that access to your Ori, your destiny, your gifts and everything that you have to give to community. Because all of our Oris, although it's completely different, completely separate, no two are alike. I don't worship your Ori, you don't worship my Ori. I have my own personal deity that is my Ori. That's another thing in Yoruba culture. Your Ori is your own deity. So, and it's the most important Orisha. And it also is what connects us to others. Like our Ori is divinely connected to others. Hi, Dr. Aaliyah. Thank you for joining. And so that's one thing that we'll have to we're going to talk through here. And so I want to talk about how initially we'll just go over what I said before. So in the root is fear, control, inner child disconnect, inner child trauma, anxiety lives there, obsessive thoughts. If you notice any of these things happening, it's go to your root to see what's there. If it's trickling in your root, it's going to automatically affect your sacral and your solar plexus. For women, womb issues, identity issues, like all those types of things, it can affect. So be mindful of those things when you were talking about how it can affect us physically when we were talking about these metaphysical things. So this is where I kind of want to lead us into a bit of exercise. I had this workbook that I was creating. I never did anything with, but it's about root chakra reconciliation. Because like I told you before, in your root, it takes you through reconciling your relationship with your childhood, reconciling your relationship with your parents, and reconciling your relationship with your ancestors. Um, and in those things, I wrote a poem. Like this is really how I use my creativity to alchemize things. So I'm going to read it to you, read this poem, and then I'm going to take you on an exercise of it. And in that exercise, I want you to just think of like your earliest memory in your childhood. And I'll give you, so as I read this and you're listening, just hopefully it inspires you to look up at that thing. So it's titled If I Spoke of My Childhood. If I spoke of my childhood, could I speak of love? Could I speak the truth? That I learned a lot, but there was not much water for my roots. Papa was a rolling stone. Mama was always home, but I could barely feel her. She showered me with material, overcompensated for the fact that my father could never be my hero, and I could never feel human. I always felt alienated, apart, broken, stolen. If I spoke of my childhood, could I speak of truth, honesty? No one was ever emotionally there. So I created a mind within my mind to run and hide, to try to find the love I always felt was bursting inside. If I spoke of my childhood, could I speak of, and it ends there. And in this 10 minutes, I want you to, like, write your thoughts and feelings that come up when you hear that, and also what memories live in your body around your childhood that you feel like may be impacting you, where you are in your journey, and may be impacting your higher self, your connection there. Because remember, pain and suffering does not live above the heart. It lives in your root, your solar plexus, and your sacral. So thank you, thank you. I'ma say that again. So, like, write your thoughts, your feelings that's coming up, and what's your earliest memory that lives in your body right now. And I'm setting the timer for 10 minutes. You have 5 minutes. Greetings. I think that's Thomas who just joined. Right now, we're in the middle of an exercise, and we have about 4 minutes. What we're doing now is just writing down our earliest memory and where it lives in our body. Two more minutes. All right. You want to wrap it on up? How was that for everyone who was able to start and speak? Okay. What emotions came up and thoughts? And as y'all are typing that in, I do want to say that, like, that's one of the reasons why I am going to end us tonight with this singing bowl, because I know that some deep stuff can come up when we're working with the root. Sometimes memories that we didn't even remember, um, even though memories live in the sacral, I get it. But when we deal with the root, we're dealing with our foundation, like our core. We're answering the question of I am. And in order to get to that I am, we have to go through all the gunk and the fake identities that we gave ourselves due to the trauma. And when I reflected on this exercise, like when I went through, because like I told you in the workbook, I talk about childhood, relationship with my parents, as well as my ancestors, feeling alone everywhere, home and school, not understood, or outright rejected due to differences, tightness in throat, chest, abdomen. Mm. So it sounds like it's kind of affecting you everywhere. So that singing bowl will definitely help at the end of this. And also, what our root in doing the root work is going to lead us to our community naturally. So that feeling of aloneness will begin to dissipate as you keep going. But it's like I unfortunately, I don't want to even say unfortunately, but it's like I always say, like the only way to get through it is to go through it. And my biggest thing is to always remember that everything I experience right now is temporary. So that's what I would encourage you to do as well. It's like, it's temporary. Just remind yourself of that. And even though this exercise is calling you to go to childhood and talk to the past, what's important to do when you come out of these sessions, which is why, again, I'm going to do the singing bowl, is we're going to go get anchored into the present, what is currently present right now, what's our truth right now. Because if we really look at things from an objective standpoint, at this particular millisecond, right here, right now, I actually don't need or want for anything. And if I do need or want for something, then we probably wouldn't be having the time or the space to be on this live. We would have to be actively working to get it done or get this done, get that done. If we're in an emergency state. But the fact that we've been able to carve out that time to come here, to center here, lets us know that in this present moment, right here, right now, I have it all that I need. I have no needs. I have all that I deserve in this moment. So we'll get to that moment now. And I think that as I continue with speaking, I'll touch on some of the things that you talked about, as well as when I post this live, it's going to go public Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday. And the first 3 minutes when I'm speaking, I think that'll help too. I think that helped too. But yes, anyone else, y'all can continue to share if you want to. I'll come in and out of speaking and reading. But what I do want to say is that when we're doing our childhood stuff, we're automatically going to turn our look into our parents. And unfortunately, I can't get into the parent space right now. But one exercise that's always been helpful for me is to think of my parent, not as my mama or my daddy, but as a human being. And as a human being, with all the stuff that they went through, would I even want to be with them or talk to them or speak to them? And with all the stuff that they went through, I can look at them from an objective standpoint and say, okay, you did your best. For instance, my mama's idea, she was the oldest daughter, and we all know the story of the oldest daughters. Um, in the deep South, they were sharecroppers. My mama was a sharecropper in the fields. In the deep South, her mama literally put her on birth control as a young child because she didn't want her to have babies, because if my mama were to have babies, she couldn't take care of her siblings, you know? So it's like my mama's idea, and like they barely had anything. So my mama's idea of taking care of me was to give me things. Like she would tell horror stories about how everybody had to share one towel. So we had this closet full of towels in the projects, but we never had to want for any towel. Um, dealing with that about your dad. So it's like we I had to, like, learn to, like, okay, my mama wasn't emotionally there at all. Like, I would talk to her about things like, "You didn't do this, you didn't do that," and she would literally snap at me like, "I'm doing my best. I didn't even wanna have children, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, I don't believe in abortion, so that's why you're here." Even I was able to have a conversation with my mama about how hurtful that was, but even when I told her, it didn't even register to her that that was a hurtful thing. Because to her, it was just like, "It's just my story, I'm just sharing. I didn't mean to make you feel bad," but it's like, you don't tell your child who already doesn't have one parent that you didn't they're only here because you don't believe in abortion or adoption, you know? So, it's just those things that I had to learn to, like, give my parents their humanity first. And, like, my father was a crackhead, um, but then I learned about all the horrid stuff he went to, learned to give him his humanity. And that's a difficult process, but it's necessary for your own freedom and for your own liberation. Because if not, you'll continue, and what I was doing is continue to live in that, I hate the word victim card, but continue to replay the same cycles over and over again until I was like, okay, this doesn't have to be my reality anymore. Like, I have to begin the job of parenting myself. And when you take that responsibility, that's root chakra work and some sacral work, honestly, because you got to deal with those emotions that's coming up. And it's gonna naturally lead to solar plexus work, because you have to open up and expose yourself and create a new identity and express it with confidence. Um, walk in it, walk in your truth. So that's what this work leads to, like working with that childhood stuff. You're gonna get through that. So I'm gonna skip over the parent stuff. And what I do want to leave with that part, though, is to just have us to remember that they did what the best that they could do with what they had. um, but yes, back to ancestors. Um, back to ancestors. So when we talk about our ancestors, and when we go into that, we get into. Have you ever heard, like, somebody pass, they tell the story about somebody passing in their life, and they be like, "As soon as they passed, I started craving the cigarettes, the same cigarettes they used to smoke, but they ain't never smoke a day in their life." Or I started wanting the same food that they wanted, but they probably barely ever ate that. That's because our ancestors are our flesh and our bones. Like, yes, you've had that. Like, they don't live on the altar because we put them there and said, "Okay, you be over there. And when I come and sit to you, that's where you are." No, they are our flesh and our bones. They experience everything we are experiencing. And because they return to our flesh and our bones, we also begin to experience a lot of pain and traumas and in the gifts that they also had when they were walking this earth as well. Because we talk about generational curses all the time. We also got to talk about generational gifts. But we can't even see our gifts because a lot of times because we're so focused on the trauma. So that's a tangent or a conversation for another day. But yeah, so our ancestors live in us. We don't necessarily have to have an altar. I do encourage it though, for those of us who want to develop a routine of consciously getting connected with them. But please know and understand that subconsciously they are always there in our bodies communicating with us, and we're always feeling them. And sometimes what we're feeling is not even all of our stuff. Like I can tell when you spoke, Dr. Aaliyah, that some of the stuff that you're feeling is ancestral, that we're charged with. I don't want to say that we're charged with healing in our lineage by healing it and how it shows up in ourselves. And so that's one of the biggest things that I love about ancestor work, because they experience what we experience. So it's like if you had a grandma that never rested, okay, well now she can rest when you rest. Right? You have a grandma that maybe had a bad relationship with such and such. You can heal that relationship by healing, or even like addictions or anything like that. How do addictions show up in your life? It may not look like crack the way it looked in my father, like with my father. It may look like shopping. It may look like always scrolling, or it could look like a porn addiction. Like that could be a thing as well. Um, and if we have a lot of sexual traumas, oftentimes that can happen, especially when they happen um, in childhood. So that's one thing we want to be conscious of. So, oh, that's another thing that I wanted to hit on, is that ancestor work in the diaspora looks different from the way it looks on the continent. And I truly do believe that our ancestor work is different because of all the stuff that our ancestors had to go through. For instance, on the continent, in Yoruba tradition, they do not have an altar with a white cloth with pictures on it and be like, these are my ancestors, right? They have a little shrine, like it's and women can't see it supposedly, but in the diaspora, we do things differently. But women can't see the ancestor shrine, like it's literally in a orisha, like a shrine. Um, Women can't see it, and so, but it doesn't look like what we have. And here we're like, get a table, real wood or glass, put a white cloth on that thing. In Nigeria, in Yoruba, the color for ancestors is red, like I was telling y'all before. So it's like there are different things that we do. Um, but again, it's my cold-hearted belief that we have to do this and go through that because our ancestors need that white cloth, like that cooling, calm energy of Obatala. They need that. Um, and they do need a space for us to sit and remember them due to our trauma, what we've gone through, because I know a lot of us don't necessarily have all their names or know all of the history because of the Atlantic slave trade, where we were human trafficked, our ancestors were human trafficked. So all of that stuff live in our bones. I think her name is Dr. Joy DeGruy. Please forgive me if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, but she talks about a lot about post-traumatic slave syndrome and how that stuff lives in our DNA. And like I told y'all before, our ancestors return to our blood and bones. So we don't know what ancient ancestors may be living in us, causing a lot of chaos and friction and tension, just preventing us from even being able to see things clearly. And so the next exercise I want to take us on is like an exercise of alchemy. And alchemy is so important because when these things are coming up and we're writing, we don't oftentimes know how to transmute what's coming up. And when I first started writing poetry back again, I was very negative, very um, self-harming in the way that I wrote. I oftentimes talked about my SI, suicide ideation, and a whole bunch of other things that just weren't good or healthy for me. And I learned also through that process too, I had to learn to then transmute those things when writing. So when a negative thing came up, I was consciously, with my pen on paper, making it into something positive. And I want to kind of show it in this kind of, I don't know if I want to do this poem or the other one, the story of my own. I'll do this one. And we're gonna go into an exercise right after it, since it'll be 6. Okay, so it's called My Ancestors. My ancestors, ancient wise, teach me, be my guide. My ancestors filled with pride, my truth I cannot hide. My ancestors, you brought me to my core. My ancestors, you pushed me to explore. My ancestors from far and wide, I feel your pain. I'm no longer ashamed. My ancestors, you broke your vows. Now it's time we reconcile. My ancestor, you've been haunting me. All of your dark tendencies live through me. My ancestor, or Yah has destroyed. There's nothing else to hold on to. My ancestor, ascend now. Take the chance so we can mend now. My ancestors, whose name I do not know. It's time for all our glory to show. My ancestor, the time is now. The real work begins. We've lived, operated in greed, became masters of manipulation filled with ill will, but that doesn't have to be our reality. My ancestor, we have to choose to go higher, to elevate, to be in alignment with our God being. My ancestors, I've made my choice. I'm putting my work in alignment with my voice. My ancestor, you are my hope. I need your wholeness. I'm elevating so that we can grow. And that is one thing that I wrote. And in this exercise, I want y'all to think about ways in which, quote unquote, negative or harsh things may live in you. Oh, thank you, thank you. I was able to make it. I said thank you. I want you to think about way that these negative attributes may live in you, in your body, the things that you may be even too ashamed to say out loud. Um, Write them down and then alchemize your way of coming out of it through your pen. So don't just say in there, it's like, man, I be lying so much all the time, or I'm a piece of like, no. Like, name your truth and talk through how you're gonna get out of it, how you're actively getting out of it now. In a way, and like you're doing these things that you notice that people in your lineage may have done too. So elevate them as you're writing. And I'm gonna do another 10-minute timer. And again, we're gonna end. It may be a little bit more than an hour because I want to give us at least a good amount on the singing bowl because we're going through some heavy stuff. I wanted y'all to do this either through like a poem or just like a reflection. 5 more minutes. 2 more minutes. Okay, 10 minutes. How does everybody feel? There's one thing I wrote in, but I feel like it's important to say out loud because next week we're going to talk about the power of the tongue and the power of the pen as it being a part of our spiritual war chest. And speak light over yourself and your lineage. Shay, you feel lighter. That makes me happy. That makes me happy. I told you it would get lighter with this hum. I am gonna pull a is Thomas still with us? I wonder how he's feeling. I am gonna pull a card for self-care because this work is the work. um, from a spiritual, occult, metaphysicist standpoint, spiritual work and healing work is what they consider to be real work, hard work. So when you're doing this type of work and you're like, oh, I'm tired, that's normal. That's natural. Expect yourself to be tired. Don't think of yourself as being lazy or anything like that because you're doing this type of stuff or you're avoiding or anything like that. No, this work here is way more difficult than your 9 to 5. So I'm just gonna pull, asking what energy, what self-care practice would be beneficial for us as we work through connecting with our root and our crown. I want to shuffle oracle cards like tarot cards, and you just can't. Okay. Mm. This is all the card we need. Be still. Stillness. She's laying on her yoga mat and just there. That's what we need to give ourselves. Stillness. Don't feel the need to do and to, because a lot of times not being still is letting us know or indicated that our root chakra is off, that there's some blockage there. I don't say blockage, there's just some stuff that needs to be healed there. So be still. That's the easiest way to clear it and to clean it. Another card, ground yourself. Grounding work is root work. Also, something that requires us to be still. So if we're feeling a lot of like heavy emotions, a lot of mental chaos, go into the earth. I know it's cold outside. Get you a lava rock or something like that and just be still. Lava rock will get you into some shadow work. So, but yeah, I think those are good things, good messages for us to have. Be still and ground yourself. And with that, I'm going to go into singing bowl. This is best to hear it really well with if you have some headphones. The best time to practice stillness is in the present, in the right now. We don't have to schedule it. We can experience it wherever we are. And the best way to do that as we are going into this intentional moment of grounding is by focusing on our breath. So we're going to do some anapana breathing where we're literally just going to, I don't even want us to feel it going into our belly. I want us to just feel the literal breath come in and out of our nostrils. You want to connect with your source? Know that your breath comes from God. That's who gives us our source, our breath. So feel it coming in and out of our nostrils. Feel the breath on our upper lip. Focus on that. These are affirmations you can use throughout your week, throughout your day. I am worthy of stillness. My ancestors provide a safe space for me. I am safe in my body. I am at peace in my body. My mind is a safe space for me. I am. Just those two words are the most powerful affirmation. I am. I am is the affirmation that is aligned with the root chakra. I am helps us to connect. I want you to slowly begin to bring your attention to your extremities. Begin to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Come back to self and let me know how y'all are feeling before we disengage for this evening. I didn't mean to get that deep. I should have known, but I didn't mean it. No, Aaliyah had to go. Ashe. That makes me feel happy. Right? Take it easy tonight, y'all. Go into stillness. Remember to ground yourself. And remember to continue to alchemize those negative things that come up. I will see y'all next week, same time. Thank you so much for joining. Peace. I love you too. Ashe. Thank you, Thomas. I'll see y'all next week.